What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Microsoft just finished up their Xbox Games Showcase 2024, and honestly, it wasn't terrible. Like, there were a lot of really good redeeming factors from this that got me genuinely excited about games coming down the pipe. The problem being, most of the games that they talked about felt like they were sometime coming out in 2025 or beyond, if any date was given at all. And on top of that, just like with Summer Game Fest, they had a similar problem, although not to the length of that, but it felt like almost every trailer was filled with CGI and not showing nearly enough gameplay. Tell me where you've heard that one before. Not to mention they gave us basically a DEI bingo card after the presentation was over, making you wonder what's going on with behind the scenes on development with some of these games. But overall, honestly, it wasn't the worst presentation. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full breakdown of all the game reveals and information about everything that Microsoft talked about in today's Xbox Game Showcase 2024. Kicking this thing off, they started with Call of Duty and went into some decent detail with the trailer reveal and the settings and the characters, and it gave some good excitement for the single-player campaign of this game. Ironically, though, the vast majority of people that purchase Call of Duty don't give a shit about the single-player campaign. They just buy it, no matter what, to play multiplayer. So, yeah, it's Call of Duty, just like all the rest of them. Looks pretty cool, though. I mean, yeah, it looks fun. I'm sure it's going to sell like gangbusters, and it's going to be a big game. And for people looking forward to it, it should be coming out sometime later this year. It's one of the few games that had a solid, concrete launch window. From that, they went to Doom, and I gotta be honest, this one blew me away. It looked so good. I feel like Doom has just broken boundaries of graphics with every iteration that it's had since the beginning. And this one looks no different as far as breaking boundaries and graphics, traveling through what looked like hell, I guess, as usual with Doom, the Dark Ages. And this game is set to release, it says, coming in 2025. That's just one of the games that's going to be 2025 of a long list of games I'm going through here. And here's the thing, before I even keep going, it feels like too many games are being announced way too early in a very unstable landscape of the video game industry. So it's really hard to get hyped for a game that's so far away, with the possibility of it being canned, canceled, or kicked down the road sometime to make you wait even longer, especially with a very busy backlog that at least I have right now. It's cool to know these games are coming out, but at the same time, I'm holding my hype levels to a very basic level right now. They then talked about Dragon Age, the Veilguard, which already made waves recently with one of the developers talking about, we'll just say, an agenda that pissed a lot of people off as far as wanting you to purchase the game based off of what their desires are in life. It's just a very weird direction that developers of these games have been taking, especially lately with all this DEI stuff that's been coming up. And this trailer, I mean, it looked alright, but after that happened, I was just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, Dragon Age looks cool, but there's so many other games for me to play that maybe I'll get to that someday in the future, if it reviews well. After a long wait, State of Decay 3 resurfaced with a new trailer. The footage highlighted the grim, zombie-infested world and introduced new enemies. While it set the stage for the game's atmosphere, it left us, once again, without a release date. And I'm just like, what's even the point? Like, why? Why are you even getting us excited about stuff if we don't even know when it's coming out? It's like, here's a whole bunch of stuff that you can't have, but get excited about it anyways. Other notable mentions were Starfield having their first promising new content launch later tonight. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is a new third-person adventure game set for 2025. South of Midnight is a DEI-injected filled nightmare of a game that a lot of people have been turned off because of what's going on in the background with this, but I want to give it a shot. I genuinely do. I want to see if this game can actually stand on its own 2 feet. And I was watching the trailer and I'm like, man, it feels like the graphics are really janky, and I don't know if that's on purpose, like if it's like the style of the graphics, and maybe it's something you get used to. I felt like the arms were swinging really hard back and forth when the protagonist was running, and I'm like, it just doesn't feel natural. And then you see her flying around, and I'm like, well, why was she walking if she could just fly around? But whatever. Maybe I'm looking too far into this. I do want to see what comes out of this game, especially based off the surrounding behind the scenes with it. I'm interested to see how it launches. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater was a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater that came out back in 2004 and gave a glimpse of the remake's gameplay with, get this, no release date. You sensing a pattern here? Next up, they had Fable, which had some solid gameplay. I guess you could say that they improved the characteristics of the main protagonist that, I'll be honest, turned into a meme for a while there, where it looked like just the ugliest dude wearing a wig. Just completely encapsulating the entire DEI-driven narrative was this picture right here. But ultimately, it looks like they put some work into making her look better. I mean, it's still rough around the edges, but it's better. It's way better than it was, and I don't know. The game trailer itself looked pretty good. I gotta give it credit. I'm not gonna just knock it because of that funny meme. It looked interesting. It looked good. And it focused on the retired hero's journey, expected in 2025. And as recording of this, it's June 2024. 2025 could go all the way to December. That's 12 months into the year. Plus now, we're looking at almost a year and a half away potentially for a lot of these games. Those are the ones that gave the release dates. Most of these maybe even beyond that, 2026, 2027, who knows even if beyond that. Life is Strange Double Exposure announced an October 29th, 2024 release featuring Max Caulfield in a parallel universe. I never really got into Life is Strange games. I actually have one of them on Steam, and I started playing it. I was like, oh, this is good. Then I got distracted. And I've heard good things about it, so I might get back to that and check it out. But again, backlog battle is never ending. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle looked incredible. But again, this one especially was a cinematic heavy trailer set in the Himalayas. And it was fun. It was cool. It looked awesome. But it was all cinematic. And I'm like, give me some gameplay. Give me some tangible dates of release. I mean, this one's another one with no release date. It's like, it looks awesome. But if I want to watch a movie, I'll watch a movie. I don't want to watch a trailer of a game for a cutscene. I mean, half the time you play games, sometimes you just get so enveloped in the gameplay, you skip the cutscenes. You just want to play the game. Then they had Avowed, showed off a vibrant fantasy with RPG elements. That one releases later this year. Then they got into some of the bigger hitting titles. And the first one that really blew me away initially was Perfect Dark. Now, I am a huge Perfect Dark fan, especially all the way back on the N64. I loved that game, and I know there was a sequel on the Xbox 360 or remake or whatever, and that was fun too. I haven't played that forever, like I barely even remember it. And this game, the Perfect Dark Reboot, is a long-awaited title, finally giving us a look at some gameplay. Most of you might remember that this one was announced back in, what was it, like 2020? When they first talked about it. Now we're in 2024, and we haven't heard anything for a while, so it's good to see that there's some serious progress been done on this game. I will say the Xbox 360 Joanna Dark looked a lot better than the modern one, especially when you compare the jaw lines, and I'm sure hardcore fans of the series will be like, well, the N64 one kind of looked like an old lady mom, but that's N64 graphics, okay? We can excuse the N64 polygons, okay, guys? And I know the Xbox 360 one was like a younger version of her, but still, Crystal Dynamics putting this one together, I can't help but feel like they wanted to make sure she looked a lot more manly, and I'm just like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Like, who's in charge to tell these developers to make their jawlines look way fatter and thicker and make them look like dudes? Can we stop this trend? It's really weird, okay? And these are just some of the standouts for me in what felt like over an hour-long, jam-packed presentation of tons of new games coming down the pipe from Xbox. But again, with the same tempered expectations of they're coming eventually, and they all look pretty good, so it's exciting, but tempered expectations with just sitting back and waiting for when they eventually do arrive. And they ended it with a huge title, Gears of War E-Day, which was a promising yet very distant tease. The highlight for me of this show was definitely this, but unfortunately, like I've said with a whole bunch of other stuff here, it's just CGI. Just a cutscene, like it's not actually showing any gameplay. And I got all hyped. I'm like, okay, Gears of War, here's everything that everyone's been hyped about, talking about finally launching and revealing it. Here it is. And then it's a trailer of CGI and then no release date. And I'm like, well, if they can't even show the gameplay, it makes you wonder how far along are they even with this title. And if that's the case, it might be far, far away. So we'll see what happens with that one. But those are my major takeaways from the presentation. Was it terrible? No, it wasn't. It was actually, overall, I'd say a mixed bag of mostly pretty promising titles. The biggest takeaway, like I said, that I had with this was it felt like they didn't really get the imagery across to the end viewer with gameplay. They just showed a bunch of CGI again. And I'm just getting so tired of this over and over. This trend that started. I don't know why it got so trendy and they just stick with it, but I don't like it. I've made it readily apparent. I don't like it. I've seen a lot of people out there to say, why do they keep doing this? And we keep saying, stop doing this. Give us gameplay. But unfortunately, when it comes to modern games, it takes so long to develop them that maybe at this point, for a lot of them, it's all they have. And if that's the case, I'd rather them start taking the Nintendo approach of, we made a mistake with Metroid Prime 4. We're never doing that again. We're only going to tell you about our games when they're ready to be launched. And honestly, I kind of appreciate that a lot more. It guarantees the game will be coming, and the hype is justified at that point. But those are my thoughts on the Xbox Game Showcase 2024. Let me know what you guys thought of this if you watched it, and if you're in line with me, or if you had a completely different take. Again, if you haven't already, check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down all the games and release dates and information. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
To make Xbox the best place for you to play, by including the titles from our own studios in Game Pass at launch, by bringing your games into the future with our commitment to game preservation.
Smash it.